your name, please?
My name is Councillor Buchanan, Provost of Falkirk Council.
Can you tell us what's happening today?
Today is a centenary event for the RAF here in Grangemouth beside this wonderful Spitfire Memorial.
And why is it significant today and who's coming today?
Well, obviously it's very significant because this is the 100-year centenary, and in conjunction with Falkirk Council and the Ancre Somme Association, this is a wonderful opportunity for not just for the 100th centenary, but to bring the community together in remembrance. It's tremendous that we have got the baton relay team coming here today. The baton will be passed on and will be heading towards Edinburgh. This is a wonderful event, not just for the community, for the likes of the cadets who will be supporting today's event.
And we're actually making history today.
We are making history today.
So what's going to take place today then?
Well, obviously we've got a lot of distinguished guests coming. We've also got not just the military, but we've got people like the pipe bands coming, 2 pipe bands. We also have our own Vera Lynn coming, Amy Hawthorne. We also have numerous opportunities for people to enjoy. We have the Grangemouth High School Choir, and we have many other local groups and organisations, and that's what this is turning out to be, a wonderful organisation for local communities.
Could you tell us about the booklet you've got there?
Well, I'm holding this wonderful booklet that this is the first time I've seen it today. It's been launched today, and it gives a wonderful history, not just of the RAF but of the local area as well. It talks here, it talks about the airmen that flew out of Grangemouth Airport. Many of them still lie up in the Grand Sable Cemetery, and we honour and respect him every year as well. This will be a wonderful addition for education for our local schools and community, and I'm quite sure, I'm really honoured to say this, that I'm an honorary member of the Ancre Somme Association, and it's in conjunction with them and Falkirk Council that this wonderful booklet is going to be out.
Could you give me your name and title, please?
Alexander Stewart, Ambassador for Ancre Somme Association and MSP in the Scottish Parliament.
And can you tell me where we are today then?
I'm delighted to be here in Grangemouth this afternoon for this celebration where we will have, and as you can see, many organisations and individuals are out here today supporting this event. We will have the baton rally past us later on, and there's many organisations that have come together to celebrate but also to commemorate and to understand and to support us, and we've been very delighted by the turnout so far, and we're looking forward to a fantastic afternoon.
Why is the RAF history important then, Alexander?
Well, it's vitally important that we remember. Grangemouth played a big part going back in the past, and today it's important that we give the youth the opportunity to see what took place, so they can become enlightened to what happened, and also they can participate because they are the future.
And you've got a booklet there. Can you tell us about this?
Yes, I think this is a fantastic booklet. It gives you a flavour of what's taking place here today. It's beautiful, as you can see, with the RAF on the front, and then it goes into some of the history. We've got, you know, those who fell from different parts of the world who supported the memorials here today. We've also got the commemoration of going back. The Spitfire behind us is also a reminder. And also the field of poppies, which is vitally important. At the moment we're now going through the ribbon of poppies that's taking place across the country, and we this week at the Scottish Parliament also had the opportunity to put our own poppy donation, and I think that shows as well what we're doing. So I look forward to, as I say, supporting all the organisations that are here today. We've got the Benevolent Fund as well that have come along. And there's a bit here about the Dam Busters and the 75th anniversary. These are all vitally important that took place, that had an impact in us here in Scotland, but also had an impact to what took place across the Forth during the war. So I look forward to seeing what happens today, to commemorating, to celebrating, and to be very supportive. And I thank everyone who's contributed, because it's all together a team effort, and making things is the best thing for all of us, that we remember and we commemorate. Thank you.
filming live from Grangemouth, Spitfire Memorial today, 26th of May.
Especially Poland, Czechoslovakia, Canada. And there are many pilots who died from these countries buried in a special part of the cemetery nearby. I'm therefore particularly pleased that we are joined today by the Polish Consul General and the Czechoslovakian Consul General, who they affirm the close ties between our countries still. Today, the RAF is still playing a pivotal role in ensuring our security, though a lot of it is not advertised and is done out of the glare of publicity. In war zones, it's constantly being called on, and there are regular sorties in Syria and Iraq, seeking out and destroying ISIS units. Control of the skies is fundamental to any modern conflict, and it is inconceivable to put soldiers on the ground unless they are protected by air power. The RAF fighting units are constantly being updated, and now we see the use of unmanned aircraft, and the F-35B Lightning will be coming into service in a month or two. But the RAF is not only there to fight wars. As part of the UK's emergency relief programme, we rely on the RAF to deliver aid to any part of the world affected by whatever disaster may have occurred, such as floods, hurricanes or earthquakes. Here at home, the RAF forms a vital part of our emergency services, assisting in search and rescue and helping mountain rescue teams. The latest area where the RAF is protecting us in our daily lives is in space. Every day, we all rely on satellite for communications, and most of us use GPS, which is especially important for our military capability. With the West being increasingly threatened by a resurgent Russia and a more powerful China, the security of our infrastructure in space is extremely important. I suspect this is an area where we will hear very little of what goes on, but that does certainly not mean that nothing is happening. Today is an opportunity to thank the RAF. So thank you, Royal Air Force, for protecting us and our freedom for the last 100 years. The nation supports you and what you do, and we wish you all the best in continuing to protect us in the future. Thank you.
I now invite Mr. James Kerr, the chairman of the Falkirk branch of the Ancre Somme Association, to tell us a little bit about his organisation.
Thank you, Bob. Lord Lieutenant, Mr. Alan Simpson, Air Marshal Provost Buchanan, our local MP Martin Day, our MSPs Alison Harris, Honourable Member of Ancre Somme, and our Ambassador Alexander Stewart, MSP. Our Armed Forces personnel, our Police Scotland representatives, leader of the Falkirk Council, Cecil Meiklejohn, our local councillors, invited guests, our air cadets, the pipe bands, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute honour to be standing here today to celebrate 100 glorious years of the Royal Air Force. The Ancre Somme Association. The Ancre is a cemetery in France where all the Commonwealth graves are marked. Our association is non-political, non-religious, non-gender. We embrace everyone to our association, as long as they live to our goals, which is education, remembrance, supporting our armed forces and our armed forces charities, and to leave a legacy. Regarding education, education is at the heart of our association. We believe future generations must understand that their Scottish, British and Commonwealth military history. Only on Thursday past, we had the pleasure of being invited into Balbardy Primary School in West Lothian to give an insight into some of the local people who made the ultimate sacrifice. As we had told the children, in a small street in Bathgate, Cochrane Street, 46 men from one street went to war and never came back. Remembrance, we remember our armed forces from World War I, World War II and every other subsequent war or conflict. We must never forget those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Our association believes that the pilots who protected Rosyth and the bridges, we feel that they didn't get the recognition in this area that they deserve. And I don't want to single any country out, but the Polish pilots had the most kills in the war for this area. And I would just ask you to put your hands together for every nation regarding on the remembrance wall as a thanks. We support our armed forces and armed forces charities. In 2016, we delivered a Battle of the Somme commemoration parade with the support of West Lothian Council. In 2017, we delivered the Battle of Passchendaele commemoration and a remembrance of Robert Beveridge Military Medal in Uphall, also in partnership with West Lothian Council. Then today, in 2018, we celebrate the 100 years of the RAF in partnership with Falkirk Council. Only last Sunday, we presented two cheques, £1,945 each, one to combat stress and the other to soldiers off the street. These two charities were grateful for these donations. Only yesterday at Holyrood, MSPs from all parties laid poppies as a remembrance for the fallen in behalf of ribbons of poppies, which our association is donating £1,918 to Poppy Scotland. The legacy. 4 months ago, when we sat down with our association, other local councillors, our MSP Alison Harris, members of Grangemouth Rotary Club, Mr Ian Mitchell and Tom McMorrow, and Grangemouth High School, to discuss how we could celebrate, remember and leave a legacy for our children. Our association wanted to make something big for the area, but after speaking to the rest of the group, we understood this couldn't be achieved in the time frame that we have, and thankfully we listened to Ian Mitchell, and this is the outcome of today. Speaking of our legacy, we have managed to put a legacy booklet for today's event, similar to the legacy booklet that we presented to Balbaldy Primary School on Thursday, which was this legacy booklet. We would like to thank Group Captain Bob Kemp, CBE, and Ancre Somme Association Honourary Member Tom McMorrow, MBE, for their input into today's legacy booklet. There are 300 printed for today's event. We would ask for a small donation, as you can have this as a souvenir, as a memory of today's event. Our association, every member donates their time free. We get no external funding. We are, however, grateful to many kind, supportive donators. Our association has educational support, public support, cross-party support and military support. We must work together to teach our children their history. We must never forget those who fought and died for our country. We must be proud to support our armed forces, past, present and future. Today we make history by welcoming the RAF baton to Grangemouth. This is something that you can tell your children, your grandchildren and even your great-grandchildren. That the Ancre Somme Association and Falkirk Council brought the RAF baton to Grangemouth. It's great to see so many young people here today, and I hope today's event inspires you, because you are the future. This is only the first event of our RAF 100, and we intend to celebrate during the whole year till next April. And finally, on behalf of Ancre Somme Association officers and members, can I thank you for your support today, lest we forget.
We are now in for a treat. We have with us two choirs from Grangemouth High School. The junior choir consists of pupils from S1 by Birdie, followed by that haunting song, Bring Him Home, from Les Miserables. Please welcome the junior choir.
All the stars we steal from the night sky will never be night comes creeping in, illuminates our skin. We watch the day go by, stories of all we did. It made me think of you, it made me think of you. Under a trillion stars, we danced on top of cars, took pictures of the stage, so far from where we are. They made me think of you, they made me think of you. Oh, lights go down, in the moment we're lost and found. I just wanna be by your side, if these wings could fly, for the rest of our lives. I'm in a foreign state, my thoughts they slip away, my words are leaving me, they caught an aeroplane, because I thought of you, just from the thought of you. Oh, lights go down, in the moment we're lost and found. I just wanna be by your side, if these wings could fly. Oh, damn these walls, in the moment we're 10 feet tall, and how you told me after it all, we'd remember tonight, for the rest of our lives. Oh, 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 if these wings could fly. Oh, lights go down, in the moment we're lost and found. I just wanna be by your side, if these wings could fly. Oh, damn these walls, in the moment we're 10 feet tall, and how you told me after it all, we'd remember tonight, for the rest of our lives. He's afraid, let him rest, heaven bless, bring him home, bring him home, bring him home. He's like the son I might have known, if God had granted me a son. The summers die one by one, how soon they fly on, and I am old and will be young. In peace, bring him joy. He is young.
Scotland is central to the start of military aviation. Captain Bertram Dixon, a Scot from Rothshire and late of the Royal Horse Artillery, demonstrated the reconnaissance capability of a rather frail Bristol box kite aircraft to a high-powered audience during army manoeuvres as far back as September 1910. Such was the success of the demonstration that the then Home Secretary, the young Winston Churchill, an observer of the manoeuvres, said to the commander, General Sir John French, "We need to develop this as a force." Another Scot, Brigadier David Henderson, an Argyll Southern Highlander from Glasgow, was given the task of forming and commanding the Royal Flying Corps in 1912. He continued to command the Corps throughout World War I until the amalgamation with the Royal Naval Air Service and the formation of the new Royal Air Force under Air Chief Marshal Sir Hugh Trenchard on the 1st of April 1918. At the start of World War I, the Royal Flying Corps comprised 200 aircraft and 2,000 personnel. By 1918, the force had expanded to some 4,000 combat aircraft and over 114,000 men. This contrasts with World War II, when the RAF had over 1 million men and women in RAF uniform. Today, the RAF has 32,000 and less than 200 combat aircraft. Swings and roundabouts, but what 100 years it has been. It is difficult to cover 100 years in just a few minutes. I intend to highlight some of the highs and the lows and some of the personalities. Do get a copy of the legacy booklet that James mentioned earlier for more information. Air Chief Marshal Sir Hugh Trenchard was the ideal officer to bind together the Royal Naval Air Service and the Royal Flying Corps. He had seen for himself in the air the sacrifice on the ground during the Battle of Loos, Passchendaele, Arras and the Somme. He was keen to build on lessons learned from the First World War. He focused on his people. He formed the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund to look after those wounded and disadvantaged by war. He formed an auxiliary air force, part-time civilian volunteers to support the regular force and to provide a surge capability when mobilised. But despite lessons learned, the country found itself at war with Germany again in 1939, and it was largely unprepared. In the very early days of the Second World War, German aircraft attacked naval units around the Forth Rail Bridge. Spitfires from 602 City of Glasgow and 603 City of Edinburgh squadrons were scrambled. Flight Lieutenant Archie McKellar, a plasterer from Paisley, was an auxiliary pilot with 602 Squadron, and he successfully attacked a Heinkel bomber and shared the kill with 603 Squadron. Archie went on to become one of the highest scoring pilots of the Battle of Britain and was awarded a DSO. These were part-time pilots in the Auxiliary Air Force. Trenchard had got that right. RAF Grangemouth behind me was opened by Air Marshal Trenchard on the 1st of July 1939 and trained Spitfire pilots commencing as early as 1940, just in time for the Battle of Britain. But the training was minimal and dangerous. Pilots from Holland, Belgium, Czechoslovakia, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the USA, India, Ireland and Poland joined their British allies here at Grangemouth. Poland provided more pilots than any other country from overseas and of course lost more. 12 Polish pilots were killed during training at Grangemouth and most are buried here in Grand Sable Cemetery. Indeed, it was the war graves with strange-sounding names that caught the attention of the air cadets of 133 Grangemouth Squadron, who researched all this. They even visited Poland to understand some of the background and the culture. This led the cadets setting up this memorial to the 71 pilots killed in training, and to the procurement and erection of the magnificent Spitfire on my right, complete in Polish nomenclature of Eugene Luminski, who was killed in his Spitfire on the Avondale estate at Polmont in November 1941. A very fitting tribute to a huge loss. And henceforth 133 Grangemouth Squadron became, and still is, the Grangemouth Spitfire Squadron. The war struggled on. We lost over 1,000 fighters in the Battle of Britain, but importantly, the island survived. Air Marshal Hugh Dowding from Muffet was the architect of deliverance. His integrated network of early radar, invented by Robert Watson Watt from Brecon, accurate reporting by their Observer Corps, and better communications allowed Spitfires and Hurricanes of Fighter Command to be scrambled to meet any incoming threat. And we should not forget the amazing Rolls-Royce Merlin engine that powered these fighters. The Rolls-Royce factory at Hillington, 27 miles that way, produced no less than 23,500 Merlin engines during the war. Output at its peak in 1943 rose to 400 engines a week, and on one occasion hit 100 Merlin engines on one day. But the other commands had much work to do too. Coastal Command searched for and destroyed German U-boats. Perhaps one of the most difficult tasks was hunting submarines that destroyed so much Allied shipping. Flight Lieutenant John Cruikshank from Aberdeen won a Victoria Cross in his Catalina for amazing valour during an attack on a submarine. John was 98 last Sunday, and he still lives in Aberdeen, the last surviving holder of a Victoria Cross won during World War II. I commend you all to Google his VC citation. Coastal Command lost almost 11,000 men during World War II, and for them there were no known graves. They simply did not come home. The Dam Buster's story with a bouncing bomb is almost straight out of a boy's comic strip, but it was true. 19 Lancasters set off to destroy the dams. Only 11 came back. We lost 53 brave men that night, 75 years ago this month. Bomber Command shouldered much of the heavy work, but at a huge price, losing 55,573 men. They sunk Hitler's pride and joy, the Tirpitz. They bombed railways, harbours, industrial complexes, and cities. Despite great unease of the civilian losses in many quarters, and war is unequalled in terror and death, the war had to be brought to a close, and Bomber Command did this. Without Bomber Command, we would have lost the war. The Cold War followed, and the NATO alliance and our airborne nuclear deterrent proved effective in balancing the Soviet threat. I personally spent many hours over a number of years sitting in my aircraft at 4 minutes readiness, loaded with 2 nuclear weapons. I wasn't needed, but we were ready. The RAF contributed greatly in winning the Cold War, and not a shot was fired. Fighters operated from RAF Lookers, Meteors, Hunters, Lightnings, Tornadoes and Typhoons, now at RAF Lossiemouth, And the radar technology of the latest Typhoons, developed by Ferranti in Edinburgh, now Leonardo, like the Watts early radar, still leads the field with its advanced non-scanning radar technology. We must not, of course, forget all the ground crew without whose relentless work throughout these aircraft would not fly. So what of the future? With less than 200 combat aircraft, the same number as we had at the start of World War I, the effectiveness of the Royal Air Force could be questioned. But today's combat aircraft have a huge capability. Your Royal Air Force is agile, capable, and ready to continue to defend the nation against any aggressor. It is a story of success and a century full of great pride across the world. Amy will sing 2 songs and maybe another one after that, I'm not sure. The White Cliffs of Dover and We'll Meet Again. I'm sure you all know the words, and I'm sure Amy would be delighted if you all joined in.
Yes.
Thank you, Amy.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a pleasure, and I'm glad the sun shines out and we can all sit here and not worry that it's going to downpour with rain, as we always do normally worry about that. So yeah, I'm going to sing a wee song, first of all, called We'll Meet Again. I want to hear you all singing loud. Don't know where, don't know where, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. You're smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. Some sunny day. Your turn. Lovely. Don't know where, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Good stuff. Smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny
Bravo!
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to sing another wee song now from it. Tomorrow Just you wait and see. The shepherd will tend his sheep, all the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. Thank you. Okay, I believe I have to do another wee tune. Yeah? Okay, they're all, yep, okay. I'm going to sing another wee one from Virulent. This is my granny's favourite tune. So if she's watching it, are you on Facebook right now?
Yes.
Facebook Live? Okay, cool. My gran's high tech. She's got a wee iPad at home. She might well be watching in. So this is her favourite tune. This is A Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square. That certain night, the night we met, there was magic abroad in the air. There were angels dining at the Ritz, and a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I'm perfectly willing to swear that when you turned and smiled at me, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. The moon that lingered over London town, poor cousin moon, yes, he wore a frown. How could he know we two were so in love? The whole darn world seemed upside down. The streets of town were paved with stars. It was such a romantic affair. And when you turned and kissed me, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. The dawn came stealing up, all gold and blue, to interrupt our rendezvous. I still remember how you turned and said, was that a dream, or was it true? Our homeward stay was just as light as the tap dancing feet of a stair. Like an echo far away, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. I know
brilliant. Well done, boys and girls, brilliant.
Number 1 point. Eyes! Right!
Well done. Well done, boys and girls. Absolutely fantastic.